Watch this video before you buy triples for Simracing. Very dramatic title that is, isn't it? It almost implies that if you don't watch this video, you'll end up with like 3 steering wheels for monitors. It's like, damn, I should have seen that Jackzer video. But in all seriousness, this is a video I wish I had a year ago, and I'm just going to break it down super simply. And hopefully at the end of this video, it should be a bit clearer if you are stuck in this research limbo that I was stuck in for quite a while. For context, I was using 3 27-inch 1080p monitors. It was excellent, but I needed an upgrade for all reasons. I needed more quality, as in resolution, so I could physically do more, see more, edit more, and it looks better in the sim, i.e. then looks better in my videos. So there was a big knock-on effect. But the question was 27 or 32. With 27, it's like, it's massive, it's huge, and it is really, really cool. But it just lacks some size. Even with the correct FOV settings, things still look small. Now, 32s isn't a wild jump. If you go up to 55s, they'll look life-size, but I just wanted a little bit bigger. Seeing as the entire rig takes up so much space in anyway, I might as well go for bigger. But then that leads us on to another question. It's like, damn, if I go bigger, because I knew I wanted 1440p, am I going to suffer from the pixels per inch? Am I going to be able to see the pixels on the screen? So many different issues that presented themselves that I kind of had to flow through and sit through and research. So that's the context of like what began my research. So this video is going to be a little bit flowy, but as you all know, I'm pretty much freestyle with most of this stuff. So it's all just being extracted from my head. But first, we're going to talk about resolution. That's pretty important. So in general, the crux of it is if you have a PC that is kind of slow and is barely running 1080p as it is, or it's just about running 1440p on a single monitor, maybe triple 1080p monitors is what you're looking for. Unless you plan on upgrading in the near future to a PC that should be able to run 1440p triples, well, then you may want to think about future-proofing. Yes, the cost is more, but the cost might be more in 2 to 3 years when you realize the 1080p is truly a dinosaur and belongs in a museum, so you have to keep that into account. But there's also other reasons why you would want 1080p, even if you have an excellent PC. A lot of esports drivers use 1080p because they like to prioritize frames over quality. So you'll see people on ACC and iRacing playing with no buildings, crowds, trees, nothing. The game looks like a potato, but they have their frames and they're happy with their frame rate. So in general, if you want high frames, i.e. because you're esports or you want high FPS or because you need FPS, let alone high FPS, 1080p is what you're going to be looking for. Unless you plan on upgrading your PC in the future, well, then maybe plan on future-proofing it, because buying 3 monitors is a little bit of a commitment. It's like getting a dog at Christmas. The dog's not just for Christmas. You know, you're gonna have this for a while, so make sure you plan this out, or at least that's the way I thought about it. So in general, that's resolution, but then you have pixels per inch. So 1440p, we spoke about 1080p, 1440p, and just on a side note, if you're going with 1080p, do not go higher than 27-inch. Just don't, because there's not enough pixels to fill up 32 inches at the distances we're going to be running, which is about 60 to 80 centimeters, depending on comfort. 60 tends to be right over the shaft of the wheelbase. 70 to 75 tends to be just behind the wheelbase itself. Personally, that's where I run it because it just looks more easier, whereas when it's on top of me, it feels less of a PC/workstation and more of just a rocket. Now, 1440p, the question is 27-inch or 32-inch. So you'll hear a lot of people say the pixels per inch on the 32-inch is just too much. You know, you're going to be able to count up all the pixels and, you know, it's not going to look nice. The maximum size you should have with 1440p is 27-inch. So, you know, I heard these guys, but I didn't want to go from 27-inch 1080 to 27-inch 1440p. And I've seen a lot of pretty, you know, big streamers and stuff like. I've seen a lot of people in sims at the Simracing Expo that use 32-inch monitors, and they looked great. They looked really, really good. So I don't know where these people are getting their numbers from. So I decided to look into the numbers because I'm very boring like that. I'll pull it up for you now. So the first thing I wanted to do was basically prove people wrong that we're saying 32-inch 1440p is going to be ridiculous. You're going to be able to see all the pixels. It's going to be vile. All these reviewers and stuff like that online that say don't go near it. It's the worst mistake you can get. I wanted to come and see the numbers for myself. So here's pixel density, PPI, but we're not going to go near that because that's kind of useless for what we want. We're going to be using pixels per degree. Pixels per degree is a very easy concept to understand. It's how many pixels can you see per degree of field of vision from your eyes, basically. So using 57 ppd, that achieves Apple Retina. And Apple Retina, I believe, is defined as basically like you can't see the pixels from a reasonable enough distance. So some of their phones and stuff, that's why they look so HD and you can't see the pixels because that's Apple Retina. That's 57 ppd. Now, if we have a look down below here, we can see the comparison. Now, this is based off 70 centimeters. I'll leave this calculator down below so you can input your own distances, but 70 is where I rock my monitors. So if we were to get 1080p 27-inch monitors, we have a PPD of 39. Now, these numbers are obviously not going to make much sense, but they only make sense in relation to each other. I'm interested in going to 1440p 32-inch. So when we look at 39 for 27-inch, but then 44 for 32-inch, that doesn't seem like too much of a leap. And it's definitely nowhere near the Retina of 57 of Apple Retina. If we wanted to achieve Retina with a 1440p monitor, we'd have to go down to a 24.5-inch monitor. And if we wanted to achieve Retina with 4K, we could actually do it with a 32-inch monitor, but the poor frame. So that's not realistic. We're not looking to go near 4K at all. The point I'm trying to make here is that these numbers look scary and it's almost trying to push me away from going to 32-inch. And if I was to go with 27-inch at 1440p, I would have a PPD of 52. Now, personally, this was my use case. If, for example, you cannot fit 32-inch monitors in your setup, well then 27-inch 1440p's, as you can see, is going to have a very sexy resolution and it's going to be very, very close to Apple Retina. It's going to look incredible. But for me personally, I like a bit more height on my monitors, so 27-inch was out of the way here. So hopefully you understand what I was trying to get at. Even though that chart was trying to tell me that the gain I'd be making from 27-inch to 32, is it even worth the jump? Is it worth doing the purchase, or should you just wait longer? That chart is basically trying to say, you know, you're not going to gain too much. Now, if you break it down into percentages, obviously 44 is quite a higher increase from 39, but still, it just doesn't pop out as much as in like, this is going to be a game-changing upgrade, enough for you to get 3 monitors, where most people would only buy one of those monitors for gaming. Until I spoke to people who have 32-inch monitors. So I looked at all these reviewers and stuff online who have like 1 million subscribers and stuff. I talked to people who actually have them. Some people said it's not worth it, the PPI is too high, and then some people said this, some people said that, some people said 32 is too big, you wouldn't want that, some people say 27 is too small, until I just looked up some real reviews. I looked for recently uploaded 32-inch monitor reviews at 1440p. Real people, not people who review 8K monitors twice a week. You know, I looked at people who got one of these monitors and used it for their entire gaming and editing setup. They were ecstatic with them, absolutely elated. And these were the real reviews I needed to see. So it kind of gave me a bit more confidence that 32-inch at 1440p is going to be okay. So we have that out of the way. Resolution and size, hopefully you're following along with me at the moment. This is kind of along my path. So size depends on how much space you have or if you physically want it big. Resolution depends on how much power you have and kind of how much you're willing to upgrade if you do need to upgrade, and not to be too scared of the whole 1440p at 32-inch. It might be too big for that resolution. It's not. It's not. Unless you're like a guru of monitor resolution, it might, you know, keep you up at night. But for us normal folk, it's not going to keep us up. It's quite the opposite. Now that I have them, it's unbelievable the things I can do. Video editing, photo editing, the colors are just incredible with the monitors that I went with, and they're nothing special. They were on sale. It's just in every single way, it's better than a 1080p 27-inch monitor. So I have to say, personally for me, I'm nothing but delighted. Now, we're looking at 32, 1440p if we are, or if we're looking for 27-inch. Now, personally, because we're going 1440p, I'm thinking about doing curved or the size of 32. A lot of gaming monitors are curved. You're going to find that a lot are cheaper. That's weird. Curved seems fancy. Fancy should be more expensive. Turns out making curved screens is cheaper. A lot of people didn't want to buy them and made them cheap or something like that. So most of them are going to be like VA panels, or I think VA. You're going to have this IPS and VA debate. Don't worry about it, honestly. The people who worry about it are the people who go too deep into it. Just get yourself a curved panel, which is more than likely going to be a VA panel. I'm 90% sure of that. And you will have a blast. There will all be this stuff about side glare and this and that. You don't have to worry about that because you're pointing these screens at your eyes from each angle with millimeter precision. So they're literally going to be pointing at you. It's not like you're going to have 3 people in the office coming over to collab and work on something and they need to look at the side of the desk. That's not going to happen. It's going to look incredible for you. I'm not going to lie. As I look at this monitor from this angle here, and I mean this one right here, the colors look slightly distorted, but that's just the nature of these panels. Once I get back in the rig, they're absolutely perfect, and they're perfect from here, let alone over there. Curved, is what we're looking for, to be honest. There are some flat ones out there, but they just weren't really appealing to me. And once you go kind of 32-inch, I think curved just makes your rig look a lot better. You don't really notice the curve when you're in the rig, so it's not much of an issue. FOV is no issue to calculate. I was worried about that for a while. That's no issue. It instantly just calculated it like before. There was no special thing. I just had to input the radius. Now, because we're talking about it curved, the radius is something to consider. 1500R seemed to be fine. It wasn't too aggressive. It wasn't too unaggressive, if that's a word. It was just right. It's basically one of the smallest kind of curves you can get. 1500R just works absolutely amazingly. And if you're probably wondering now if you'd like the link of the monitors that I got them from Case King in Germany. Leave a link down below. They're Gigabyte. I can't remember the code name, but yeah, they're made by Gigabyte. They're 165 hertz. They have excellent contrast. They've excellent color. It's really, really impressive, to be honest. And they were only €220 each. In the end, that's how I kind of landed on 32-inch 1440p curved 1500R monitors. That was it. I was happy once I had all that stuff in. And I'm sorry if this video is a little bit messy, but the process was messy, except I'm condensing a year's worth of thought down into a couple of minutes in a video. So, that's the flow chart. The flow chart is quite simple. Do you have space or do you not have enough space? Well, then go with 27s if you're limited on space. If you have the space, consider 32s. If you have the juice in your computer and you're able to run 1440p, I'd highly suggest getting 1440p, as 1080p has gone in the wind and you will see pixels. So there's a reason why it's gone in the wind, and 1440p monitors are getting very, very cheap. If you're going with 32s or even 27s, consider curved screens because they can be cheaper and they're just as easy to configure. And I think that's about everything. The only reason you'd want to go with 1080p is if you are an esports player looking for more frames, or if you have a PC that you do not plan of upgrading for a very long time. If you're concerned about frames, I suggest you go look on YouTube and find people who have the same specs as you. It's very easy. And then go see them play the simulator and see how it looks for them, because you will be able to find someone with similar specs to you and you will see if it runs, or if not, take it to Reddit and ask people what they think. But in general, I know a lot of people who've went from triple 1080p's to triple 1440p. They've always been more surprised than disappointed about the frame loss. Like, I only lost 15 or 16 frames per second in iRacing. Wasn't that much at all. So yeah, in general, that's kind of the crack. These are things that I would consider before buying triple screens. I wouldn't over worry about it too much, but I definitely would plan your purchase, because, if you're getting to the point that you want triple screens, you are an enthusiast and you're in sim racing for the long haul, and you ideally want to buy once and buy right. I don't see myself needing to upgrade from these for a very long time. Things move fast in sim racing, especially for my video editing. Like, it's crystal clear. So for me personally, I'm happy enough with this purchase. I feel it future-proofs me pretty well. I feel the price for performance was bang on point. That's why I went with 32-inch 1440p's. But as I said at the start of the video, it's all based on personal preference. So you might not like 32s. They might just look too big. They might get you killed by the wife if you bring them in, you know what I mean? They might just seem too imposing. I will say I just made my angle more aggressive, and that seemed to have kind of, it basically takes up the same floor space as 27s somehow. Or maybe it's an optical illusion. I did a bit of cable management, so like now it just looks tidier, but the wings have gotten bigger. But yeah, so that is my very basic Jackzer guide on 32-inch versus 27 versus 1080p versus 1440p versus curved and flat. If you're looking for monitors, 32-inch 2K curved 1500R, you'll be happy out, because I'm a pretty picky person and I'm happy out too. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, leave them down below. I'll be more than happy to answer, but make sure you go look at everyone's videos, because everyone has a few cents to say on this topic, so you can formulate your own opinions. But at the end of the day, whatever you get, I'm sure it'll be amazing. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.